Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
हमारे कार्यक्रम पेश किए जाते कई भाषाओं में कृपया देखें suprememastertv.com/schedule.
ఒకవైపు కరోనా విజృంభిస్తూ ఉంటే మరోవైపు పంటలను నాశనం చేసే మిడతల దండు దేశ ప్రజలను ఆందోళనకు గురిచేస్తోంది. గత కొంతకాలంగా సైలెంట్ గా ఉన్న ఈ కీటకాల దాడి మళ్లీ మొదలైంది. తాజాగా ఢిల్లీ సరిహద్దుల్లోకి వచ్చేసింది మిడతల దండు.
Warning signs to help end climate change. Locust swarms, part 2 of 3. Continue watching to find out more.
OCO means hello in Cherokee, one of the Iroquoian languages. I'm Tohoka. The Iroquois people are grateful to you for being conscious of Mother Nature's warning signs and for taking action to help build a peaceful vegan world. Welcome, compassionate viewers, to part 2 of our 3-part series, Warning Signs to Help End Climate Change, Locust Swarms. In part 1, we learned that in 2019 and 2020, colossal swarms of locusts invaded several East African nations, damaging thousands of hectares of crops. In some countries, it was the worst locust infestation in more than 70 years. On today's program, we'll travel to Pakistan and India to learn how the insects have affected these countries. But first, let's find out more about locusts and why they've been so plentiful during the past year. Many scientists believe that climate change is largely responsible for the current locust plague. The unusually warm, wet weather in the normally arid areas around the Arabian Peninsula have created ideal conditions for the insects to hatch and multiply. Locusts are a species of grasshopper. Under normal conditions, the insects enjoy solitary lives and are green, flightless, and reasonably harmless. However, in 2019 and 2020, warmer temperatures in and around the Indian Ocean resulted in unusually heavy rains and cyclones. The rain, accompanied by intense heat, led to a surge of lush vegetation in the region. With an abundance of food to eat and moist soil in which to lay their eggs, the insects began to reproduce rapidly.
Reason behind increased breeding of locusts this year due to the Indian Ocean temperature changes, increased numbers on abnormal rains and cyclones. So, increasing the number of insects over the Arabian desert roughly 8,000-fold. This year's attack has been the worst in 3 decades. Scientists predict that the disaster will enhance as we enter monsoon season.
Locusts can multiply quickly, with females laying 80 to 100 clusters of eggs 3 times in a single season. But a far more serious problem exists in eggs laid during previous seasons, which can lie dormant in the soil for as long as 20 years. Under warm, moist conditions, these eggs can hatch, causing the number of insects to increase exponentially. As the insects multiply and group together, the normally harmless grasshoppers transform into locusts that have a different color, grow much larger, and unfortunately are able to fly. Dr. Shakil Khan, Food Security Advisor and Seed Sector Specialist for the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO, in Pakistan, explains that global warming has extended the locust breeding period, leading to swarms and resulting damage on an unprecedented scale. Adult locusts can eat their entire body weight in food every day. As a result, the insects are constantly on the move in search of sustenance and can devour everything in their path. According to the FAO, a swarm of 40 million locusts can consume enough food in one day to feed 35,000 people. Even a small swarm can jeopardize a farmer's livelihood. Since June 2019, a massive plague of locusts has been affecting eastern Pakistan, damaging crops and orchards. The insects have destroyed wheat, corn, and cotton crops, posing a threat to food security in an already impoverished nation, and sending food prices skyrocketing. After the locusts struck, some farmers saw nothing left of their crops except the stems, while others had to dig out the wheat they had sown just days earlier. Many farmers tried unsuccessfully to drive away the locusts by making loud noises or knocking on basins. This year's outbreak has been the worst in Pakistan in nearly 3 decades, causing billions of dollars in damage and raising concern about food shortages. Pakistan's Prime Minister, His Excellency Imran Khan, Shining World Leadership Award for Good Governance laureate, declared the invasion a national emergency, and the government has pledged to assist farmers. The locust plague could be economically crippling for Pakistan, as agriculture accounts for 20% of the country's GDP. In addition, 65% of the population lives in the countryside and works in agricultural jobs. To make matters worse, Pakistan is already suffering from inflation and the unprecedented economic burden imposed by the coronavirus pandemic. The Honorable Ismail Raha, State Minister of Agriculture for Pakistan's Sindh province, described the plague as a dangerous and catastrophic threat to the economy, agriculture, and food security in Pakistan, adding, "The locusts and their eggs have now covered 50,000 square kilometers of farmland. We are expecting them to infest more than 5 million hectares, and they are not just attacking Sindh province, but also the agricultural areas of Punjab and Baluchistan." We'll take a moment now to pray for the safety and security of all beings on our beautiful but fragile planet. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to our program as we next travel to India to learn about the terrifying locust infestation there. Since April 2020, swarms of locusts of biblical proportions have been attacking India. The skies over some parts of the country have been blackened by the insects soaring overhead. The vast swarms have devastated crops in India's heartland and are now threatening food supplies in the world's second most populous country. To make matters worse, the nation is already struggling from the aftermath of a cyclone and the debilitating economic costs of the coronavirus lockdown. This year's infestation has been the worst India has experienced in almost 3 decades. Thus far, locusts have engulfed 7 states, destroying nearly 50,000 hectares or 125,000 acres of cropland, and consuming vegetable and legume crops, such as lentils and beans. In Punjab, an Indian state bordering Pakistan, the locusts devoured hundreds of hectares of crops in only 20 minutes.
ऐसे महसूस हो रहा था कि इस तरफ से कोई आंधी आ रही है, मतलब है कि 8 बजे सूरज निकल आता है तो रोशनी भी कम होगी थी, वो इतनी तादाद में थी। उसकी लंबाई जो है वो 6 किलोमीटर तो लाजमी थी और चौड़ाई में 2 किलोमीटर थी। जो आगे चौड़ाई, आगे के जो लोग बता रहे हैं वो कह रहे हैं कि वहाँ पे चौड़ाई भी उसकी बढ़ गई। मेरे तकरीबन 60 एकड़ थे जो उसने जो है ना वो बिल्कुल ख़त्म कर दिए। ये कपास के पौधे को उसने बिल्कुल, उसने ये देखें आप, ये उसने सफाया कर दिया और उसने 20 से 25 मिनट में जो है वो इसको ख़त्म कर दिया। और ये उस वक्त जो वो नुकसान कर रही थी वो हमारे लिए जो है वो बड़ा मुश्किल था उसको ये अपनी आँखों के सामने देखना। तो आप यकीन करें, हमें ऐसा महसूस हो रहा था कि जैसे कोई हमारे जिस्म का हिस्सा जो है वो काटा जा रहा है।
ये जो स्वाम है जहाँ जहाँ ये सेटल हुए हैं, ख़ास तौर पे जो काटन नई हमने काश्त की थी, मुल्तान डिवीजन में कोई 2-2.5 हज़ार एकड़ के करीब जो है ना वो सीडलिंग स्टेज पे थी, काटन यानी उग रही थी, छोटी थी, इनिशियल स्टेज पे थी, उसे नुकसान पहुँचाया है।
And the locusts continued to move through the nation. On June 29, 2020, a cloud of insects several kilometers long swarmed into New Delhi, India's capital region, flying through metro stations and playgrounds, invading sugarcane fields, and threatening major losses to the agricultural sector. The infestation came at an already difficult time for New Delhi.
ఒకవైపు కరోనా విజృంభిస్తూ ఉంటే మరోవైపు పంటలను నాశనం చేసే మిడతల దండు దేశ ప్రజలను ఆందోళనకు గురిచేస్తోంది. గత కొంతకాలంగా సైలెంట్ గా ఉన్న ఈ కీటకాల దాడి మళ్లీ మొదలైంది. తాజాగా ఢిల్లీ సరిహద్దుల్లోకి వచ్చేసింది మిడతల దండు. హర్యానాలోని గురుగ్రామ్ మీదుగా వీర విహారం చేసుకుంటూ రాజధాని సరిహద్దుల్లోకి ప్రవేశించాయి. గురుగ్రామ్, జజ్జర్, ఫరీదాబాద్, గ్రేటర్ నోయిడా వరకు వచ్చేశాయి. దీంతో దక్షిణ, పశ్చిమ ఢిల్లీలో హై అలర్ట్ ప్రకటించారు ఢిల్లీ అధికారులు. మిడతల దండయాత్రతో అత్యవసర సమావేశాన్ని నిర్వహించారు పర్యావరణ మంత్రి గోపాల్ రాయ్. జిల్లాల్లో అధికారులు అప్రమత్తంగా ఉండాలని ఆదేశించారు. మిడతల దండు దూసుకొస్తూ ఉన్న నేపథ్యంలో విమానం టేకాఫ్, ల్యాండింగ్ సమయాల్లో పైలట్లు జాగ్రత్తగా ఉండాలని ఏటీసీ హెచ్చరికలు జారీ చేసింది.
Dr. Anshu Sharma of the Sustainable Environment and Ecological Development Society, or SEEDS, a non-profit disaster management organization, says that India faces a number of challenges in the months ahead. We need to be alert and anticipate where this is going next. The situation is all the more alarming as it comes at a time when the affected states are already reeling under COVID-19 and the ongoing heat wave. Kind-hearted viewers, thank you for your company during today's program. Please join us again next Monday, October 17th, for the concluding episode in this series. Coming up next is New Story and Icon, Pioneering Solutions to Homelessness, right after noteworthy news. We wish you and your loved ones safety, well-being, and continued spiritual progress. Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/PE.